All right, it's 5:03. I'll call us to order. Dr. Penland, did we notify the media?
We did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I do declare that we have a quorum with 6 of 7 board members present, and we will need approval of the agenda to move forward. Thank you. Second. Thank you, Chip. Any questions? All those in favor of approving our agenda as is, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, agenda is approved. And now we will move into our general fund budget discussion with Dr. Penland and Ms. London. And Ms. Branham is on her way back with hard copies for anyone who doesn't have one.
Yep. So I'll go ahead and turn everything over to Ms. London and let her kind of talk through the process that she's done since the last meeting that we've had.
Okay. So I have presented 2 budget versions. The first version is with no millage increase, and the second version is with a...
Can you
Yeah,
turn
it's hard. It's difficult to hear you.
Turn Leanne's mic up, please.
Yeah.
Okay, how about now?
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
So I've presented 2 budgets to discuss tonight. The first one is with no millage increase, and the second version is with a 4.4 millage increase. So if it's okay for anyone, like we did in the first work session, I'd like to start with the expenditures and then move, because that's going to affect how our revenues will be needed. So the version with no millage increase, I am showing that we are doing the $2,000 per cell increase for teachers. That's according to the state salary schedule, which we are mandated to do. The starting pay for a teacher with a bachelor's degree in the first year of teaching is going to start at $50,500 for the 26-27 year. So this mandate accounts for $898,186 of salary increases. For our non-teacher employees who are on a salary schedule, I have budgeted to receive a step increase and then a 2.6 increase in the scale itself. The administrative scale will just get a step increase with no percentage raise. Student nutrition workers are not part of the general fund, and so their pay increases don't have an effect on the general fund impact, but I did include the student nutrition salary schedules as a part of this budget packet. Any other employees who are not on a salary scale, this provides them with a 2% increase. So what we've done with this budget is we are considering removal of 6 positions from the general fund. So that accounts to about $238,000 in salaries. That doesn't include their fringes and health insurance, but in salaries. We've been in a few discussions with this. Some of positions have been discussed, and we are hoping perhaps we can account for those positions through attrition. So if someone leaves a position and there's a position out there that we think we can eliminate, maybe move that person into the salary where the person has left. So.
All right, I have a few questions for you about that, and I want to go back to the administrative salary schedule as well. But as far as the positions are concerned, are you looking at 6 positions that don't include teachers?
Yes, those don't include teachers.
Okay.
None of the 6 include teachers? Okay.
And then going back to the administrative salary scale, who does that include? What roles does that actually include?
Directors like the teaching and learning directors, the technology directors at the district office level mostly.
And it would also be principals and assistant principals are on that scale.
Okay. So that is why I was asking. I had gotten some feedback based on our work session from assistant principals and principals concerned as to, why are they not included, why in the 2%? And so I guess what I'd like to know is, what is that 2% if we still, that addition, if we still include principals and APs? So at least we're giving everybody at the school level the 2%.
Correct. Correct. So the administrative scale is getting a step, which equals to approximately 2%. A step
Okay.
on their scale. So they get moved up a year experience. And from my understanding, they didn't get a step last year. Is that my understanding?
No, everybody got their step, but, cabinet did not get a percentage raise,
Okay,
the equivalent percentage raise.
okay.
Yeah.
So this year they will be getting a step.
So is a step recognized the number of years that they've worked in the district?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Their-
So
their years
this
of-
year,
Pretty
teach-
much their years of experience.
Right. So this year, you're saying that not only will those that are categorized to get a 2% raise, they'll also get a step?
Yes, but not the administrative scale. The administrative scale is
Correct. I'm
just
saying
getting
just-
the step.
Right.
Because they get paid the most and it affects our budget the most.
So going back, so the teacher salary is getting a $2,000 bump on their step, each of the steps, is that right?
Each
is correct.
cell.
Each cell,
Mhm.
okay, plus a 2%.
No,
No.
all right, so each cell, so the cell, the beginning pay for a teacher used to be 48,500. Now, the first year teacher will get 50,500. But then the next step, if you look at the schedule on the back, the
Well,
teachers.
I don't have it, so.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so,
You talking about the teacher's salary schedule?
yes, yes. So a teacher with 1 year experience will have 50,750, because last year that was 58,750.
48,750.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's correct.
Yeah, that's like, that went
I'm
down.
so- I'm sorry,
Yeah.
48,750, sorry.
Okay, so in the, I can't even ask my question because I need to reference the actual, I need to reference the information in your summary. Because in there, it seems to indicate that each cell is moving up $2,000, but there's also a line talking about a 2%.
Well, so when you get your packet, this,
Mike.
I'm talking, this is the teachers. The budget includes a step increase of $2,000 increase for each cell of the state teacher salary schedule, which those are mandated. Pay for a teacher with a bachelor's in their first year will increase 50,500. So that's teachers.
This is the sheet you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Other employees, the salary scale is getting a 2% increase and then the step.
So
For
most of our
support employees.
non-certified would be getting 2% plus a step. And the teachers are getting the 2,000 plus a step.
Right,
And then administrators would be getting
a step.
a step.
So everyone else in the school is getting 2 additions, basically.
Right, they'll be getting the
Except
percentage
the
raise
administrators.
and the
And the step.
step.
Okay, that's where I was going with it, but you're saying that principals and assistant principals would not get both,
Right.
Just get a step.
they would
They're
get
just
step.
getting the step.
That's the administrative.
So they are getting a raise. I mean, they are getting an increase in their salary with the step.
Yes.
I
That's
still, I would like to know that number because I still think that everyone at school level should get the extra. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Okay.
So I'm just curious what the number is.
And I don't think we've run that number to just pull out that group, but that is something we can get back to the group.
Okay.
So you're reading from page 13 in the packet, correct?
Yes, the
Okay.
first version.
But, all right, this version is the
No millage.
What we've been handed is the 6 mil
Yeah.
version.
So that one actually,
But the expenditures are the same, or they're, no, I was going
They
to make a
wouldn't
comment
be.
that,
yeah.
how,
This,
I would assume the expenditures on both of those are different.
the one you just
Yes,
got is the
yeah.
one that you got in your work session. So that's the version 1 of 6%.
Version 1 is the no
Yes.
millage. Version 2 is,
What they're passing out is last month's
Yeah.
document. So this
Okay.
is the
This
6
is a
mil.
6 mil, which isn't even on the table for tonight, is the problem.
Correct. Yeah, so she's still making copies.
okay.
So, So I do think it would be important to know that number for principals and assistant principals, so we can say that we at least were able to give everything we could to all of our school level employees. So,
But I think the question there is, can we afford all the raises? Is that what you're implying?
yeah, like, we gotta know the number though, but we
Yeah.
don't have the number, so, yeah. The other question I have about the administrative salary is, there is cause you said everyone gets the step based on their years of service, but there's a caveat at the bottom that says step placement will be based on amount and relevance of work experience. A step does not necessarily correlate year for year with a year of work in a different position. So how do you take that and translate it into the schedule so people know where they are? Is that something that happens only the first time after they move to a position, or?
That is done the first time that they move to the position to offer them the job. And so basically, for example, if they've been a principal somewhere else, then that would be a year-for-year experience. If they've been an AP somewhere, that would be a 2 years equals 1 step. If they've been an instructional coach, there's a correlation there. If they've been a teacher, there's a correlation there. So on the administrative schedule, it's not somebody that's worked as a teacher, assistant principal for 20 years. They don't automatically come in at the 20-year experience principal scale. It's more based on how they correlated based on their experience.
Is that a correlated schedule that is somewhere that we just don't see?
We have it in HR, so yes, we could get it for you that way. So
But do the people look, do the,
if they ask, that's what we refer them back to.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah. No.
I don't have one,
No.
no, because I can't get logged in onto my computer. Thank you.
So which one is that? Is that 0? Yep,
Yes.
that's 0. Okay.
Okay, so now I think everybody has the no
Okay.
mill increase. So if that correlated schedule that you're talking about always stays the same, could it not just be added to the bottom of the pay scale list so people see it? Okay. Ms. London, what page were you on again?
13.
Okay.
So I assume if I'm an assistant principal and you elevate me to a principal, I know when I make that change, what step I'm going to be at the principal.
Yes,
And it's not going to be the same step as an AP.
correct.
It's part of the when I move over, those are questions that you would.
Right. That's kind of the correlation based on the pay scale from one to the other.
And that makes sense.
Whenever you're looking at teachers, that's years experience only. Whenever you swap over to our APs, we have that same type of correlation because they're on the administrative schedule also. And then you would have the same correlation for a principal level.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about what we're doing with the salaries. So retirement and social security are mandated amounts, and those are based on what we paid for salaries. So the rates for health and dental are not changing for this school year. That means the rates. So what we're paying per person, per family, per employee and children, those rates don't change, but it dropped a little bit because we're removing those 6 positions from the general fund. Unemployment comp has not changed. Workman's comp, I don't have a final number from workman's comp yet. This number could change if I get notification within the next week or 2, but I kept it a little bit reduced because we're hoping to start charging some of the other funds outside of general fund for their share of workman's comp. We increased instructional improvement services. We're paying for more contractors provide and for special education and therapy. And I want to talk a bit about the budget that is for document managed services. I've got some clarification on that since the printing of this document. This is for storage of our student records. So I was a little misunderstood with that. So we have to pay a storage company to store our student records for 99 years.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
that's,
so,
that's
and
what
that's
that-
something
and that's
that we.
nothing that's new, it's just recategorized.
Right, and so we currently use a system through the special services, and so a couple of years ago, we went ahead and added that to do our, just all of our transcripts and everything at the high school. So now we have a system that will log that, and it makes it searchable. So if we go in and need somebody's records, we can easily go in and find that to be able to push out to somebody. So for 99 years, that's the state records. That's the state retention of records policy that is through the state archives group. So they set it for 99 years.
The
So
bureaucrat.
Good news, I ain't got 2 more years and I'm out.
All that's electronic, or does that include paper records?
so any inactive file or after graduates come through, we send those to the scan-in company.
Okay.
And then they take that hard copy, keep it for a year, and then destroy it after we verify that everything is correct in there. So it is and then the inactive, if somebody came here first grade, but didn't return to our district, we still have to keep that child's records for 99 years. So inactive files throughout the elementary schools and middle schools also become of those records that we scan to retain.
What's it cost, Jody, to keep records for 99 years?
We budget $10,000 a year, and so we do the inactive scanning, and the most of this fee is the scanning capacity to send those crates of documents over there to them.
Okay, so you said that this was not a new expenditure, you've just moved it from another category?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
We
And
budgeted-
where did it come from, technology or something?
I think it was in another 300. I think it was in maybe 390 or 395. 390 or 395.
Okay.
I think it was $395.
Okay.
Okay.
We're still continuing to use the Bud Group for our cleaning services. We're going to keep those on for next year. We're going to have a little bit of increase for landscaping, which affects our repair and maintenance expenses. We're going to be using a software service provider to perform background checks. These are for our employees and volunteers. So professional and technical services, I've talked about the school resource officers. So we're going to be working with the city and county to possibly get these costs reduced for us. And we are terminating our contract with the energy savings service providers, but that will be effective the end of September, so we'll still have 3 months of expenditures for that vendor. Gonna keep travel the same, and we increased the budget for supplies slightly due to increased costs. The concert fund loan's gonna stay the same as in previous years. Tort liability insurance is gonna remain the same, but we also increased a little amount for student insurance. So the membership dues fees is gonna show a small increase because we've reclassified that from the item below.
Can we go back to, which account did you say the Synergistics was coming out of? Was that 395?
Synergistics.
The contract that's being canceled at the end of September?
That is the, let's see, where is?
You called it something different, but I can't recall.
Yeah, I think-
It's in 395.
Okay, so you mentioned that we'll still have expenditures until that's canceled, but I thought that with Synergistics, we really didn't have any expenditures. I thought that it was a wash with what we were saving.
The way they have described that is basically we could budget savings in energy to pay their payment. And so what we're doing is we'll continue to receive those energy benefits, but we were still having to budget a payment for their services. So
Okay.
you're
Do
basically,
those energy benefits eventually roll to our revenues somewhere, so it
it's just
doesn't
less
show that's coming
expenditures. It's just less expenditures, not necessarily revenues
in? Okay.
for energy. Am I saying
So
that
we're
correctly?
saving cost on how much it costs to heat and cool.
Correct.
And so we're assuming that part of that savings is
Part of
being-
what they were doing was they were running everything through a system that would show that if we were not doing energy management, we would have been spending X amount, which would have been additional cost to our energy systems. So our energy line of expenditures.
So any other questions on the expenditures with no millage increase?
The, software for 18, that's where you're talking about the background checks and everything?
Yes.
Yes. Is that new, or did that move from
Well-
a different account? The
You said 18?
345,
What's that?
345 account software.
The 18,000. I think you said that was a new service we were contracting, right? That would do background checks for employees, for all employees every year.
It was reclassified from the 395.
So we've always done background checks every time?
No, that was a board policy that came in effect, I think, the beginning of last year, that we went ahead and said that every individual that's in our district has to have the background check. And so this would be providing for that system. And so we paid for that out of 395 last year and reclassifying it to the correct place this year. That is Raptor is the name of the system that we use for background checks. It's not Raptor. Nope, it's, yep, BIB, yep, Background Investigation Bureau, yep.
So where is that cost coming out of now?
Software.
Software, okay, yep. 345, got it.
Any other questions on expenditures? Okay, we'll go back and look at revenues, pages 4 and 5. If it's okay with everyone, I'd like to skip the item number 1, ad valorem, and come back to that one because this is the area where we have flexibility and uncertainty, so I want to get to that one last. All the other items are kind of more set in stone, and kind of we get what we're going to get. So, this year, our FELO money has gone up during the 25-26 year. I know we budgeted 1.6 million, but we've gotten at least 2,018,000, so we're gonna budget the same for next year. Our activity budget, activity bus fees and, the interest income, Medicaid revenues, they've been based off projected collections for this year. So, and our administrative claiming that we do through our Medicaid, through the State Department of Education, we base that off of the 26-27 budget, what we're expected to get for next year. We're going to still be getting reimbursements from Lawrence 56 for the Joe Adair Center and Adult Education Partnership, and the Lawrence Prep Academy reimbursement. And then our miscellaneous revenues are based on what we've collected so far this year, or expect to collect. We expect a little increase in our vocational rehabilitation reimbursement. And then I want to talk to you a little about the state revenue. This is where we're seeing some disappointments in not getting large increases for this year. You'll see the state aid to classroom formula has only given us $697,000 over the 25-26 year. We're seeing a decrease in what we're reimbursed for health insurance. And
That's a lot.
it is a lot. They've taken the health insurance, what they used to give us, and they've rolled it up into that line item for the EIA funding, that top line. So that's the explanation for that.
So, is that the assumption here? Well, this is all revenue, never mind, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so a little bit extra for retiree insurance this year. And then if you look on down to the transfers from the special revenue, this is also state aid to classroom formula, but this is the EIA portion. The very top is the general fund portion, so we're getting a reduction in that. So those four items together, we're not getting very much increase from
so
the
the state
25-26.
voted to increase all teachers, but then they decreased what they're giving each
Yes,
school
sir.
district.
Yes, sir.
Somebody please explain to me how that makes sense.
Yes, sir. So, the other state revenue we get is for Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 money. This is our, the homestead exemption and the reimbursement for Act 388. So Tier 1 and Tier 2 money we're keeping budgeted is the same as this year. And the Tier 3 money is the, I got a dollar amount from the State Department of Revenue and Fiscal Affairs, what that's projected to be for next year. So, let's talk about the ad valorem taxes. This
Before we
is where,
go, I just want to make a point of clarity here, because I know people are going to ask me this.
yes,
So when we were reviewing the expenditures and we saw the increase of $659,000 for salaries, is that increase as a result of the 2%, I mean, the 2,000 and the 2% step? Is that,
Mhm.
that's where that's being covered at? So basically, our school district needs to find around, average $700,000 because of this, what the state is telling us we have to do.
Mhm.
But they're not getting any, we're not getting any additional revenue as a result of what they voted on.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I hope our constituents here understand that that's a burden on us.
It's a
On-
burden on, it's been a burden on districts statewide.
Yeah.
So they're all faced with the same problem that we are. So with no millage increase, we are projecting that we're gonna collect $14,500 in ad valorem taxes this year. This is your vehicles and your commercial properties, your watercraft, your airplanes. And so we kept that budget the same for this year. So that's no millage increase and keeping everything the same.
You meant to say 14 million.
14
didn't
million.
Yeah,
You
what I
said
say,
14,000.
14 million.
you? We're in real big
I
trouble.
don't even know.
wondering.
So that's the explanation for why I budgeted that. So that's with no millage increase.
Okay, a couple of questions. The philo, we had talked about this a little bit in our work session previously on, oh gosh, I believe it's Hunter Park, and talking to the county to see, are they going to roll that to us as they should, or are they planning to cut our percentage, or have we been able to have that conversation?
The conversation that I had with somebody was that we would get 25%. And that's kind of what that structure is set up for Hunter Industrial. And so each area may or may not have its own philo kind of structure. So different areas give us different percentages, but Hunter Industrial Park, I was told that it's the 25% of those taxes or the philo that we would get.
Okay. But we don't have any of that projected because that's all brand new and hasn't,
That
we haven't seen
we would not be
anything
collecting
there, yeah.
anything current year or next year, correct?
okay. Okay. One thing on here too, under, I'm gonna flip back to expenditures for a second, is, the increase in the audit fee. I'm not sure when we shall have this discussion. I know it's on our fiscal response to talk about in, a bit, but, you know, that is something that I would hate to see, that we need to pay additional funds for that.
Yeah, and I have gotten a response from another firm, and theirs is even more than this. So I budgeted this as conservative. We can always go down. But that's the fee I'd gotten, so I took the higher of the two.
Okay. A few other questions that I have, the student enrollment numbers. So,
Let
Dr.
me ask
Quillen,
a
you
question
had
about
sent-
revenue for you. Go
Huh?
ahead. Let me ask you a question about revenue right quick.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you mentioned in the, the lieu of taxes that last year we had the 1.6.
Yes, that's
But
what we
we-
budgeted, and
but
so
we
far this year,
received-
we've collected over 2 million.
Okay, so that additional 368, did that go to the general fund?
Yes, this is
Okay.
all general fund. Everything we're talking
This
about
is-
tonight is just general fund. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That, you said, okay, so you budgeted for 1.6, we collected 2. So, are those types of situations, isn't that somewhere where we should consider paying it back to our fund balance?
So if we, based on, you know, revenues, all that come in and all expenditures, the goal is that there would be money left over that would go back into our fund balance. So
Do we have a projection on that for?
we've been playing with numbers, but we have not come up with an actual, you know, we're looking at a 5%, you know, whenever we're looking at trying to get our expenditures versus our revenues. The report that we share each month with y'all, we're trying to get that down to a true number of what that would actually be, but we do know that there's a lot of things that's coded back from the July expenditures for teacher salary, and so we've tried to run some of that. I don't know if you have anything else on that one. So,
Because, you know, we will have to face, you know, the plan and the response that we've had to write regarding the fiscal watch. We're gonna have to face that again
mhm.
on our fund balance. So we need a plan, and as of right now, I don't see anything that includes a plan that would pay anything back.
Yes, but we have to submit a balanced budget each year, so that's why
Sure.
yeah, so if we have an extra 300,000, yes, that can go to fund balance, absolutely.
What is the biggest amendment balance? You don't
we're working on it now. Yeah, this is what we're doing in this, when we pass the budget. The budget needs to be a balanced budget.
So, okay, I won't jump from revenues if anybody's got any more questions on that before I ask about student enrollment. So the student enrollment numbers that you guys had provided in the budget packet shows for this year shows 4478, and then the information that we just received Friday, if you take the total number and you subtract out pre-K, it shows 4493.
Yeah, the 4478 is the one that's correct.
So,
Okay, so this sheet, so
so how much are we off by that? Because that's what the numbers that she ran was based on 135 day.
right.
And so the numbers I ran was current enrollment, so actually who's in the building right now,
So we've
So-
gained 15 students since April 23rd?
probably.
And then how did we calculate the projected numbers?
The projected numbers, we're still waiting on PK 3 and 4 numbers. And so some of that was based on prior year. Everything else was rolled up from the prior year. So if we had 343 fifth graders, we assumed we would have 343 seventh graders unless we have some additional enrollment that we kind of knew we already had. So a lot of that was rolling from year to year.
Okay. So the only one that didn't look like it just rolled,
Mhm.
and I may have the line off here, was 7th grade maybe?
6th or 7th.
6th or 7th grade, one of those. There was one that didn't roll up the same. Oh, it was, no, 5th grade. 5th grade, didn't roll up.
5th to 6th.
Yeah.
343 to 333. Yeah, that's probably a typo on my
Okay.
part.
I didn't know if I
It's
assumed
probably
this
a-
was a calculation
it's-
or something.
No, well, it was a calculation, but then my copy and paste probably,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And for the 6 positions that are being considered, have we considered cutting days, and maybe cutting some stipends?
I can tell you that we're looking at everything, whenever I go into Leanne's office, it's, have you thought about this position, or, because not necessarily, when we talk about positions, we don't talk about the necessary person, but are there jobs that we can combine? Are there things that we can kind of move out? There are some stipends that, as we go through, and I think y'all received that document too, of who's getting extra pay on some things. Is that part of their job, or is that extra pay? So there are some things that we're looking at, possibly, not utilizing all of those stipends or not utilizing that to be able to get that. Some of our, whenever we say 6 positions, that's 6 FTE in our world. So it may be that a 0.5 and a 0.5 equals 1, versus one whole position. It may be somebody that goes part-time. It may be something like that. So we've looked at all type of combinations that we can look at that way.
Okay. The stipend list that we have in our budget packet and the stipend list that we had requested that's actually being paid out, they don't seem to align properly. But part of that is I was aligning it myself because there was I didn't find any markers to correlate this stipend being paid out and this is the line it's coming from on the sheet that we have for our budget. So they didn't match.
Right.
And then it appeared as though we maybe had individuals
Some people
at
get
an upper level that are getting stipends that seem that that stipend is being paid out for something that's already a part of what their job should be.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we can talk about specific ones that you found, but, you know, some of the ones that we, some people receive multiple stipends, they might coach multiple sports, they might do multiple, you know.
these were like the academic.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
the sports ones, like, they didn't align perfectly either.
Right.
None of them, I couldn't actually just draw a line and go, okay, this is this.
And I can, because we're talking the 20, well, we did have an issue of a school assuming that if they had 3 stipends and they were only going to use 2, that they could take that third and increase the other 2. So we have fixed that misconception. So there may have been some paid out before we caught that, so they may be a little bit different. But we have rectified that and fixed that and addressed that with schools too.
Yeah.
So.
The coaches were easier
Right, to
to
look over, yeah.
correlate versus the academic.
I guess could we get an updated list that shows, has an extra column and says, this is what it's going to?
Yeah.
Like, which person gets extra pay? Okay.
Like
So-
what it
Well-
is, like which stipend it aligns with.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yes.
so like this stipend list, it names, you know, every position, so if that is,
If we can
what
correlate
they're-
that back to say, this person gets this stipend and that
Right,
type of thing,
right.
yeah. Okay.
Y'all are talking about the supplement, what's listed?
Yeah, the back of the.
Supplement list.
Yes,
not
the
a
supplement,
stipend.
yeah.
Like weightlifting coach.
Yes, sir.
We don't have a weightlifting team.
No,
Right,
but it's
so-
the,
Where does that money go to?
so it would be the,
we don't,
per-
let's not name names.
I'm not gonna say name, but it'd be who was being responsible for the additional, weight training activities, for those athletic teams, so. they
Strengthening
may
coach.
Yeah, so they may not be getting,
That ain't the way we done it when I was there, where it was a group effort, it wasn't no.
right, yeah,
Okay.
so,
That's 40 years ago.
so.
It worked a whole lot
They,
better. back
they
then.
may not be getting a coaching stipend that they're a coach of the team, but they are the strength and conditioning person that works with all the teams. So, after
State
hours.
championships,
Yeah.
a bunch.
So, I mean, that's a prime example where it should be called a strength and conditioning coach and not a
Weightlifting coach, correct.
So,
Because that individual does more than just weight lift. I mean, it's for every sport. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
All right. Are you ready to swap to the 4.4
Yes.
document?
I don't have a 4.4 document, or is it in the same?
She passed out, yeah.
I've got a 6.
Candace, did you copy the 4.4?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a 4.4.
I don't have a 4.4.
You already lost yours.
I didn't have
Here,
it,
I got
Chip.
2.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
Mike
put
took
mine.
it.
Oh, Mike took it, that's the
Oh,
problem.
no, they brought it to my, I didn't take anything.
Are you sure you have 2 that say 4.4?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure, just making sure. Okay. Are you gonna just walk us through the differences and how this looks versus the
Yes.
0? Okay.
So we're on version 2, and we're on pages 12 and 13. And the only difference in this version is maintaining the 6 positions in the general fund. So this keeps those 6 positions in the general fund. That's the only difference in expenditures between version 1 and version 2.
And I know that you had mentioned looking at what the cost would be for administrators at the school level to get that 2% raise also. You know, that's something that we could balance between positions kept versus, you know, raises for the administrators in that. So if we needed to, you know, not cut a position or two, I mean, cut a position or two anyway, you know, that's somewhere that we could shift some funding for to fund their raise.
Okay, so let's talk about revenues. Revenues are on page 4 and 5. So this budget is same except for the ad valorem taxes. And this is where we have our uncertainty and we also have flexibility. At this moment, we haven't gotten final assessment numbers from our county. As I had mentioned previously, we are in a reassessment year. So we don't have the reassessment numbers to figure out what our millage needs to be, what the millage number needs to be. But I'm requesting that once we get the final assessment and we can calculate our millage, that it's enough to generate $15,125,000 in ad valorem taxes for the year. Now, that's a $625,000 increase in additional collections, what we expect to get over this year. So when speaking to the county, I was given what the value of a mill is for all school districts. That's in the county. That's Lawrence 55, Lawrence 56, Greenville and Greenwood 51. So we have 4 school districts in our county. Greenwood is just a little piece. Greenville is just a little piece. That number he gave me for all 4 school districts, he's telling me the value of a mill is $263,794.10. That's for all 4 school districts. So I'm thinking Lawrence 55 is the largest school district of those 4. So I would surmise that $90,000 is what the value of a mill will probably come out for our school district. So that would put us needing millage of 168. And I want to emphasize these are very preliminary numbers. I don't have anything final. So if the value of a mill for our school district is $90,000, that's about 34% of that $263,000 number. And I think that probably, it seems reasonable to me. And I will tell you this, so our school district is unique in that we have the equalization with Lawrence 56, so their CFO and I have been in conversations. They are asking for a 4.4 mil increase. And so.
And remind me, that is the max that they can ask for, correct?
Yes, sir.
And so we would be allowed to ask for more if we were not in that partnership with them, but also we cannot ask for more than they do. So whatever they ask for, we have to ask for, and if both boards vote yes, then it passes. If either board votes no, then neither district gets a millage increase.
So that's why I presented a millage increase of 4.4, and because that's the situation we're in.
When is the last time that we, as a county, I mean 55 and 56, have increased the millage?
From my understanding, it was around 2014.
Yeah, it was like 12, 13 years ago.
And just from my understanding of this, so this would increase the property taxes of everybody in Lawrence County?
Correct.
Slightly.
Not just an assessment,
Mhm.
but also an increase because of school millage.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's a compound. So this year, the county's already saying we're going to do a new assessment, and you can anticipate an increase.
That's correct. So when
And
the
then
county.
a millage of 4.4 would also require an increase.
Correct. Now, excuse me. So when the county does their assessments, they cannot increase property tax values more than 15% every 5 years. It can't go up 15%. So we as a school district have to do what's called a rollback millage. So we have to look at it's a calculation, it's a formula, and I gave an example in the packet. So we can't have a windfall from a reassessment year. So we'll have to roll back our millage a little bit and then go back and collect more, request an increase to keep us stabilized. But I do think if we do the 4.4, I think we will be good. But like I said, numbers are uncertain at this moment. I don't have final numbers by just our school district. And then we're faced with the fact that our millage has to stay the same as our neighboring school district. So that puts us in another situation.
So we've been in conversations over the tax equalization for a number of years now. And I know it's been a few months since I have heard an update. Has there been any?
We've been talking more about the balancing of the budget with the millage increase and having to do because we're not fiscally autonomous anymore because of that equalization agreement. And so that's why we have to go there. So our conversations has been more around the millage increase versus the going back to the balancing and the collecting of the equalization funds.
Anybody else have anything they want to address? I will ask one more question about the administrative pay that I received, since we have just a minute. And someone did send me this schedule at some point that we had. It's
What year was that one?
This was 24-25, and they said and I remember conversations about this last year, but I don't exactly remember why or what transpired. But at one point in 24-25, they were getting an additional $2,000 for masters plus 30, and that for 26-27 that was cut out. Did we just eliminate that? Was that a part of a cost? What transpired?
So that calculation on that document was very hard to kind of follow. And so whenever we were looking at this one, based on the add 2,000s for masters plus 30, add 5,000 for doctoral, but that was not to keep the 2,000. That was, so you had your different ways here that was able to kind of multiply that. The multiplier here, the index, and everything was based on a C1, which is the experience of base salary of a teacher. And so whenever we did the new schedule, we kind of took all that kind of into place. Nobody went down based on where they were, and set the schedule based on kind of some surrounding districts with a straight line saying, if you have this step and you're at this level of administrator, then this is your pay, versus kind of having everybody kind of guess at their level of calculation. So we didn't take anything away from people in that calculation.
Okay, so did this read as like a stipend or supplement?
That, you can kind of
At the
think of
time.
it that way, but it's not necessarily, I mean, that became part of their base pay, but it was, based on, that's how you would kind of, because everything started at a teacher level, with, just a first-year teacher. So everything on that was basically set based on the scale of a teacher. And so we removed that based on the scale, because if that was the case, then every administrator would be getting the $2,000 raise that the state mandated, but was not funding, because the state does not fund any additional raises for our administrators, only for our classroom teachers.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have anything else? All right, Ms. Lana, do you have anything else you want to share?
I think
with us?
that's it.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
go ahead.
I know, based on 6 positions, I mean, can we get specifics on those before, you know, we get ready to make a decision on which way we want to go budget-wise?
Yes, we just didn't want to name names or name positions at this point in an open session.
Yeah.
And
No.
have people panicking, or when it may not be anything to panic about.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it needs to be an open session, but
Okay.
to make a decision, we need to know what those 6
Yes,
positions are.
yes, we're looking at those.
And we have a few that we already know that we're not filling, that would be, you know, positions that we would hold until, you know, that was approved, yeah.
In your conversations with 56, and obviously, because this is the second year in a row, I remember last year us voting down the millage, but 56 had voted in favor.
Correct.
So my question there is, if we had a representative from 56, are they, is their finances in more dire straits than ours? I mean, what is motivating them to drive to increase the millage? Does anybody know?
Leanne and I both went there, but a lot of that is the revenue not coming in from the state level based on the required increases. And so I think they were able to add 28,000 to their fund balance this past year. So they almost broke even, you know, and so whenever you have an increased expenditure load that would be coming from the state for everybody getting raises, I mean, you can see the state's not providing that. That's how they're wanting to.
I mean, we're all in the same boat as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
It would be interesting to get their urgency,
Mhm.
get a feel for their urgency on that.
I have talked to their board chair, and they're aware that we're looking at both tonight. And they're prepared, if need be, to not take a millage increase either. I mean,
Have they voted?
no, they'll vote. They won't vote tonight, but they'll have their first reading tonight as
Okay,
well.
okay.
And so they will also be looking at a 0 and a 4.4 budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, with nothing else, I will adjourn us. Thank you, Ms. London. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.